The 2034 World Cup is set to be played in 2035. Meanwhile, the road to 2026's tournament continues to unfold, and Ruben Amar is set for 3 years minimum at Manchester United. This is DMAC Daily, when FIFA confirmed Saudi Arabia World Cup in 2035 as the host nation of the 2034 World Cup. The announcement came with one obvious question. When exactly will the tournament take place? Remember, the 2022 World Cup in Qatar was shifted from the traditional summer window due to extreme temperatures in the Gulf state, so it got a world-first November-December tournament. But this caused significant controversy as it meant world football's domestic leagues were forced to take mid-season breaks. The expectation was that Qatar 2022 was the exception, one-off tournament change, but the exact same issue will present itself in 2034. Saudi Arabia also experiences extreme heat in the summer, making it virtually impossible to host matches safely during that period. This is where it gets messy, because FIFA most likely can't move it to November-December 2034, as that specific timing falls in line with the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. So it's being reported that the 2034 tournament will be moved to early 2035, which at face value just sounds so wrong. However, this wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened historically. We had the Euro 2020 tournament rescheduled to 2021. Granted, the circumstances that led to this date change were far more globally significant, but this alternate timeline being proposed in 2035 also brings up another scheduling nightmare. Not only will you have to reconfigure the regular season calendars of pretty much the entire footballing world, but also the international calendar with the Asian Cup and AFCON dates usually falling in that same bracket too. Essentially, there is no simple solution here. Now, anyone who follows me knows I am no fan of Gianni Infantino. I despise this guy more than Arsenal. That's saying something. But I do think his recent comments regarding the World Cup calendar are somewhat valid, with the FIFA president stating, "If you want top play at the same time everywhere, then you can play in March or in October, because in December, you're not playing in one part of the world, and in July we're not playing in another part of the world." What he's essentially saying here is that limiting a World Cup to June, July dates means a lot of countries can't be appropriate host nations. At the time, it's far too hot to host in the majority of Middle Eastern countries, the majority of Sub-Sahara and Africa, and throughout Asia too. So yeah, maybe this is a bit of a hot take here. But I'm actually not all that bothered about adapting the World Cup dates depending on the host nation's appropriate climate. Like the Qatar World Cup in November and December was still a largely successful event, even if the summer beer gardens were lacking. I still think it's a tad ridiculous to have a World Cup in a separate year, entirely. But this issue is probably the least controversial one involving FIFA. I'm more so concerned with their ever-expanding tournaments that are disregarding player welfare, disregarding climate concerns, and also pricing fans out of a World Cup experience. But let me know your extra perspective below. And now, a quick word from today's sponsor, Extra. This right here is the future of wallets, made from premium Italian Visita leather. It's slim, easy to carry, yet fits up to 14 cards in cash without bulking up your pocket. With its metal card ejecting trigger, you get instant one-hand access to all your cards. It's secure too. You won't have cards falling out, and it's built to last too, with a lifetime warranty. Also, the added Finder card is super convenient in case you lose your wallet. It's easy to set up and is compatible with the Apple Find My app. And for travel, XA's also got you covered with their new Travel Pack Vacuum Kit. Believe it or not, guys, I do travel on occasion, and this is a total game changer. This compression bag triples your packing space while keeping your clothes dry, odor-proof, and organized. Plus, it comes with a USB rechargeable air pump, so you can pack smarter anywhere you go. Zara are currently running their fall sale from New W till November 10th for up to 35% off. Better yet, if you use my partner code DMAC at checkout, you'll also get an additional 10% off. So if you're ready to upgrade your everyday carry and your travel game, now's the time to check out Ext. And also, huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Staying North African excellence. On the theme of World Cup news, and a further 2 nations have qualified for next year's tournament. The Egyptian King Mo Salah scored twice in a 3-0 victory over Djibouti as he goes top of the African goal-scoring charts, and also became the all-time top goal-scorer in African World Cup qualifying history. But more importantly, this result secured Egypt's qualification. 24 hours later, and Algeria followed suit, having defeated Somalia to top Group G, becoming the 4th North African nation to qualify for next year's tournament. Cape Verde could have booked in their ticket, too, but were only able to take a point away at Libya. If you haven't seen the highlights of this game, do yourself a favor. It included an absolute worldie of a free kick, and simultaneously one of the most scandalous pieces of goalkeeping like ever. They now sit top 2 points clear of Cameroon with 1 game to play. If they do qualify, it'll be their first ever appearance at the World Cup as the second smallest nation in the competition's history. Elsewhere, Ghana almost certainly secured their spot with a 5-0 hammering of the Central African Republic. They're technically not qualified, but it would take a minor miracle for the underdog nation Madagascar to pip them of top spot. Meanwhile, in Asian 4th round Asian plus European WCQs, qualifying in Saudi Arabia narrowly prevailed over Indonesia, whilst in the other group, Oman and Qatar held out for a scoreless draw. For those who are unaware of the new format, essentially, each of these 3 teams in the group will face one another with top spot qualifying, 3rd place of the group eliminated, and the 2 second-place teams then meeting each other home and away with the winner of that tie advancing to the Intercontinental Playoff. One thing that is slightly ridiculous, however, is that all Group A games are hosted in Qatar, and all Group B games are hosted in Saudi Arabia. That's totally not corrupt. Moving to Europe, and Rashma Toyland bagged another brace, this time for Denmark, as they hit Barros for 6. Although top spot isn't secured as Scotland defeated Greece 3-1 to go level on 7 points. Thoughts and prayers for San Marino, having suffered a double-digit L against Austria, with every outfield starter registering a goal contribution. That's got to be a world first, surely. And in Group G, the Netherlands surged back into top spot with a comfortable away win over Malta. Shifting gears to club football now, and Manchester United's Amorim needs 3 years. Co-owner has made his stance crystal clear, stating, Ruben needs to demonstrate he is a great coach over 3 years, whilst reiterating, time is needed for the Portuguese manager. You can't run a club like Manchester United and knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one every week. He will be there for a long time. Now, whilst I can understand their thought process here, they don't want to keep hiring and firing managers, changing the system repeatedly. They want to give Amorim adequate time to implement his ideas before effectively judging him. Fair enough. I can at least respect the public loyalty from the ownership. But I am still firmly of the opinion that Amorim's system is fundamentally flawed, at least in relation to his current personnel. The backline is still so shaky. They made an uninspiring Brentford team look like world beaters a few weeks back. And the double pivot situation will surely continue to be exposed against competent midfield opposition. It boggles my mind that one of the best attacking midfielders of the last decade is being forced to play as a 6, with an aging Casemiro in support. Imagine if Pep insisted on playing KDB at the peak of his powers as a 6 in a 2-man midfield. That's insane. It's almost been 11 months now since Amorim was appointed, and he has yet to win back-to-back Premier League games. Until he wins 4 to 5 matches on the bounce. Until bro gets a haircut, I certainly won't be changing my perspective on the manager. Let's not forget about his treatment of Kobe Manweather. I understand that United are a uniquely toxic club, and that they want to rebuild from the ground up, that they want to fully back their manager and avoid any sort of reactionary sentiment, even if it is a painful process. But it feels as though many United fans have simply dropped their standards in relation to Amorim, normalizing the frequency of objectively atrocious performances. Now maybe this result against Sunderland will be the catalyst for their rise back to the top. Maybe. But I still think there are glaring problems with Amorim's methods. All of the best managers in the Premier League frequently adapt when necessary. Amorim refuses to do so despite having a group of players that don't entirely suit his philosophy. That's a recipe for disaster long term, but I guess only time will tell. At least the goalkeeper situation appears to have improved.